I don't know who, it might have been like, I don't know, Zig Ziglar or one of the motivational guys, but he said, we are in the business to make money, but the framework, what they put it was, you can get what you want as long as you help enough people get what they want. And that's the mentality, right? We help to get those people what they want, and it's going to come to us eventually, right? That's the
Givers gain.
yeah.
I've lived by that mentality for the last 16 years, and it's really served me very quite well.
So I got a couple questions for you, but in the very beginning, we talked about how you can save $15,000 per employee, 20% purchasing price. So what strategies are you employing while you're negotiating your leases, your buy side transactions? What are you doing that's different than everybody else?
Yeah. So what I would say, Stuart, is that my competitors are working to get a deal done, right? They want to close the deal, get paid, move on to the next deal that they can get paid on. And I'm working to get the best deal for my client that I possibly can. That's going to be the biggest differentiator. And it shows up by that number of $15,000 per employee. That could be in lowering the rental rate, reducing the escalations, reducing the security deposit, getting more free rent, getting more tenant improvement dollars. There's a lot of different levers to pull. And where I come out of the box, it's not about trying to appease the landlord. That's what my competitors are doing when they're representing tenants and buyers. It's about trying to get a deal done and appease the landlord. I come out with my negotiations, guns blazing. I ask for the sun, the moon, the stars. I want to get it all for my client. Because I know that if my client has the best deal in the building, they're going to talk to other tenants, and other tenants are going to go, you got how much in free rent? I got to talk to your broker. Yeah. Or you're paying, your rent is how much below mine? I need to talk to your broker. And that's how we've gotten clients. It's not about getting the deal done and being quick about it. It's about taking your time, trying to take as many bites of the apple as you can, and getting the best possible deal for your client so they come back to you for the renewal, for the expansion, for the new location. And so it's really about pushing that envelope to earn. I'm working not for a commission, but for the future business, for their future referrals. There's a huge difference in working for one commission and going in and saying, okay, landlord, where are we going to get a deal done? Taking their word for that, going back to your client, going, here's the terms I think we can do. I don't need a landlord to tell me where I think we're going to get a deal done. I negotiate enough transactions across this city and other cities across the country. I know where we're going to get a deal done, or at least I know where we should get a deal done. And I'm going to go for pushing for the best possible deal that I can, because I'm working on behalf of my client, the tenant, the buyer, the seller, whoever it is, rather than working for the landlord or the seller just trying to get something done. That's not our approach. So that's really the big differentiator, Stuart.
So you've made a big distinction, and I read a study somewhere, and the gist of the study, I don't know the exact numbers, was it had to do with real estate brokers, not what you're doing specifically, but the client of the real estate broker assumes that they're going to try and get the highest purchase price for the client because they work off commission. So if they get whatever that number is, between 3 and 6%, the higher the purchase price, or the higher the sell price, excuse me, will be the higher the commission. But when the studies were done, there's a balance between, do I take the extra time to squeeze out the few, whatever, $5,000, $10,000 out of this deal, or do I wrap it up quickly so I can move on to the next deal and get the bigger chunk? I'm getting the lion's share done if I do the deal fast, and I'm not squeezing out those extra dollars. So that's a one-off transactional mindset. You made a huge distinction that your mindset's not for that transaction, but for the long-term gain of the client and the relationship.
100%. And clearly, Stuart, it's not lost on you either that my business is transactional. We are compensated on the closing of a transaction. And that's how all of my competitors approach the business. That's how they teach their team members. And that's what they're preaching is close the deal, get paid, move on to the next. I have very consciously tried to make this into a relationship-based business where when you have a relationship with someone, for example, if you're representing your mother, right, you're going to work extra hard because you care deeply about your mother and you want her financial future to be as strong as possible and as good as possible. And so we're going to take the extra time for those people you care about to do a better job. versus the ones where it's just a transaction you're trying to get done, get paid, and move on. Whereas if I treat everybody like I've got a very important, valuable long-term relationship at stake, by nature, by design, they are going to get better results because I am trying to earn their future business, their future referrals. And that's just that's not the approach my competitors take. But when you care about the person that you're representing, you do go the extra mile. You do take the time to explain things and to make sure they get a better deal. And that's really what it all comes down to is it's the relationship versus the transaction.
Yeah, it's hugely important. So I'm going to give although this may never come back to her, I'm going to give a shameless plug for my wife's book. She's writing a book called Stoic Empathy, which has to do with being empathetic towards the other side, not emotionally empathetic, but cognitively empathetic towards the other side to help you negotiate better. If you know what the other side wants, you've got a better idea. So what are the things that you use, the special tools, techniques, things that you navigate in order to negotiate these other deals and restructure and whatnot?
Yeah, wonderful question. And I did earn my CNE, Certified Negotiation Expert designation, probably about 15 years ago now. But you just said it right there. It's really about, there's two types of negotiations. There's a combative negotiation and there's a collaborative negotiation. There are a lot of people in my industry and in other industries as well that they take the combative approach. I'm going to fight. I'm going to yell. I'm going to insult. I'm going to make threats. And I'm going to go out on a negotiation combative style. I'm going to fight for what I can. And what I would argue is that when you take the collaborative approach, and like you just said, and what your wife's book's going to be all about, which is when you take the time to learn about the other side's motivations, what they're trying to accomplish, oftentimes you can secure terms that are more beneficial to both sides. When you understand what the other side is trying to achieve, obviously you know what your side's trying to achieve, and you'll be able to get to a result that is greater for both parties. Now, it's like a prisoner's dilemma, right? You can both fight and achieve little to nothing. One side can win and one side can lose. That's in these corners. Or in the bottom side is you can collaborate and you can both win. I know a landlord's not going to do any deal that's not going to be profitable for them or that their lender says doesn't have enough of a return on it. So what I want to do is get to that number and then figure out how we can move the puzzle pieces around. For example, right now, building owners don't have as much capital and cash reserves as they typically do. So they don't want to give out large tenant improvement packages. Mm-hmm. They would rather give out more free rent and have lower rental rates. Well, I work with a lot of growing businesses that tend to have a lot of capital. They may not want to spend their tax dollars on that money. So they're okay putting the money that they have right now, the cash, into their build outs, into their tenant improvement allowance in exchange for more free rent and lower rental rates. So without collaborating, you don't figure out how to put that puzzle piece together in the best possible way. So that's kind of the approach I'm taking on the negotiation side is I'm not going to make threats. I'm not going to raise my voice and yell. What I am going to do is be a fact-based negotiator. I'm going to tell you, this is what the building down the street is offering us. So this is what you're competing against. I'm not making it up. Here it is. If you want to see the terms, here you go. So if you want this tenant to come to your building, this is where you need to be. And, it's just a much more, I would say that what that does for my clients at the end of the day, I'm able to skip the line if there's multiple people looking to lease or purchase a property, because that seller's agent or landlord's agent knows that A, I'm going to be telling the truth. B, I'm going to follow through with what I say I'm going to do. And C, that it means I can get the deal done. And I've got the client, I might have their financials ready. The fact is that when you collaborate with a negotiation, you're able to get a better result than your competitors. And that even means skipping the line in front of your competitors because the person on the other side of the table would rather deal with me than someone who's going to be yelling at them and berating them and lying to them. That's just not my approach. And it works for me and my clients at the end of the day.
Yeah. Bringing my wife in, she was a lawyer. So a lot of lawyers, they would argue, fight, battle, and that just wasn't her style. She's like, let's be civilized about how we're going to do this. But the whole collaboration model is really what I've been talking about, with the virtual family office. So many times the client sits in the middle, and just by way of example, for me, I might manage assets and the client might need insurance. Every dollar of assets that leave me to buy insurance, I have a conflict of interest in over, right? I don't want my money to leave me and buy insurance, but the client might really need it. But if I'm collaborating with the insurance guy now, I can understand what better asset allocation the client needs. We can solve the problem together as opposed to arguing with the client as the go-between. It's such a better model now to bring everybody together and collaborate.
100%. And like I said, it makes it then that insurance broker is going to be more apt to want to talk to you when you call. They'll call you back before someone is going to yell at them, or they're going to send a client of theirs to you because, hey, this is a guy that sees the value in these other people around the table and can make it work for everybody rather than just themselves.
So that's exactly it. Is me in that, let's say, insurance broker, we have now a relationship. So instead of me fighting over this one transaction, it's a long-term relationship that goes on for years. So we both know we're going to be on each other's side for the client. We both understand that this is a win-win, expand the pie game, not let's fight over the crumbs that are falling.
You're spot on. And that's the key to that long-term sustainable business. You're building a brand. A brand isn't built over transactions. It's built over time with the right relationships where people are pleased with the work you're doing. And that's exactly what you're doing. That's what I'm trying to do.
Fantastic.
I love it.
So I see you're a member of Entrepreneurial's organization. So tell me about that aspect, characteristic for your life that's influenced your approach to business.
Yeah, I mean, it's really about, the old saying, it's lonely at the top. I don't want to come off as if I'm at the top of anything, but I am the CEO and founder of my organization. And my friends who might be working for wonderful companies, but aren't the CEOs or founders, it's a different world. And they don't want to talk about my business. So to have a forum of other business owners that are in similar shoes as you, that you can run ideas past, you can bounce ideas, you can talk about different aspects of your business, whether it's the people side, the marketing side, the insurance side, whatever piece it is, to have that set of advisors, it's invaluable, right? It's so important to be able to talk to others that are in similar shoes to you, which is another reason why I host a lot of the events that I do, and the guests that I have at those, it's all business owners. Yeah. It's not just so I can have a great time at a sporting event or a boat outing or a meal. It's so I can bounce ideas off these people and learn about different things they're doing successfully and not successfully to run their businesses. It's a lot easier to learn a lesson on someone else's back than off of your own, right? If they failed at something, if they can tell you about it before you do it and fail at it too, you're ahead of the game. So if I can surround myself with people that are incredibly intelligent and experienced and have been running these businesses for such a long time, I'm going to be able to be a better leader and a better business owner myself by just asking them questions and then shutting my mouth and listening.
Yeah, absolutely.